another episode of Data Gurus. I am so excited to welcome Francesco Guglielmino. I know I didn't say that right. Francesco, say it for me. Sorry.
It's Francesco Guglielmino. And yes, this has been the toughest moment since I came to the US was when people were asking my family name.
And it's so important, and I'm so sorry that I did not do justice to it. But you are the CEO of Cuebiq.
Correct.
And thank you for joining me today. I am fascinated by your company in the sense that you've been on such a journey from when you started as it related to location-based data, and with the backdrop of privacy regulation still in its infancy to where we are today. And your journey really has been to put privacy of consumers first, but also ensure that there's value being delivered to clients. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, privacy has been always at the front seat for us, as well as customer centricity. So trying to maximize the use cases unlocked by data for our customers. And yeah, we were one of the craziest one in our approach to privacy back in the days.
Yeah.
Hence that to make it short, when GDPR came out, all our R&D people were in Milan, in Italy, so they were all affected by GDPR.
Right.
And so we decided to take counterintuitive approach and essentially implement all the GDPR principle, even in the US when it wasn't really required. And we started playing with this concept in mind that we always have to play above the bar of privacy. We need to anticipate in the next law, the next thing. If we're capable of retaining our business and the value we deliver by raising the bar, then we will have a brighter future ahead of us.
Yeah. Well, you prevented a lot of pain, it sounds like, by ensuring that you were above the bar. Before we go into the privacy kind of framework that you've really enforced over the years, let's just talk a little bit about the history of the company, when it was founded, what pain point it initially served, and what pain point it serves today.
So Cuebiq was born under a different name. We were called Bean too, and like every startup tale, it started basically in a garage where founders. I think it was 2011. This was right before me joining. Had an idea about kind of building leveraging technology and data to enhance the ability to deliver ads, and it was done in Milan, in Italy, back in the days. Company was born and quickly grew thanks to the ability of the initial group. And, when I joined at the beginning of 2013, the focus was essentially to leverage data to provide more customized advertising experiences. So think about the original version of location data application in AdTech was proximity marketing, like delivering ads in 1 mile radius nearby the store. Or that kind of things, or delivering coupons when you were inside a store, those kind of engagement. And we were running that kind of business, and we soon understood that our mode, what made us different back then, was our ability to collect good location data and deploy them in a way where it was really enhancing the advertising experience. And it didn't take a while for us to understand that we were actually we wanted to invest more on the data layer rather than on the media layer.
Yeah.
That's basically was the beginning of Cuebiq, that then was founded in 2016 as a spin-off of the original company. Its sole focus of building a data layer with a focus on location data.
Location data is tricky. It almost feels like transactional data. It's so granular, right? When you think about you or I traveling throughout the day and being able to collect data points, that's a lot of data, right? In terms of a person in a 24-hour period.
Correct. So the best way we have to explain the type of data we collect is essentially think that when you leave your house, you leave breadcrumbs on the street.
Yes.
And if you give us the consent to do so, we will be the one collecting those breadcrumbs and
keeping track of it. Yeah.
Information. But you compare that to transactional data. I wish it was like transaction data.
It's much cleaner. It's less clean.
Because with transaction data, every record is very important. Every record is a transaction, is an intent purchase. So every record is super valuable.
Yeah.
With location, not every record is super valid.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
for example, when we started this journey, there was the race of the company was collecting more points about a user,
Yeah.
more crumbs about your
Yeah.
journey. The reality is there is no need to collect 5,000 points per user per day or
Right.
200,000. You just need to understand when it really mattered to collect the information. So what to us, that our idea was been always that where you spend time
Sure.
is where your interest lies. And we've been always focused on that particular point to the point that we developed an SDK with a patented collection methodology, which is focusing on where people are spending time rather than all the breadcrumbs in between those location where people spend time. Because the
That makes
overall
a lot of
point is
sense.
if we see where you're spending time and we can tie that information with a place, a gym, a grocery store, a bank, whatever, now we're building a geo-behavioral profile and we understand how a group of people in a certain area behave, what stores are visiting, and
Mhm.
how advertising is impacting their behavior and all that sort of things.
Very cool. I'm just curious, you might or might not know the answer of this, but as a consumer, do you know how many places somebody goes to on average in a day and spends time?
We had in our system, we say that we will expect to see at least 6 locations per day where
Yeah.
people are spending time. This doesn't mean that we're talking not necessarily stores, but
Sure.
in different places enough apart from each other.
Yeah.
Thing is that after what happened in 2020, this has radically changed.
It totally disrupted the whole thing.
Yeah, because before what we were, most of the analysis you had every adult had the two main anchor location, his home,
Yeah.
workplace. And
Yes.
from home and workplace, you had a number of
Other little
we're
yeah.
doing, right? Like there
Yeah.
was a specific grocery store do you go when you get out of work, or there is a specific lunch place when you're at work.
Right.
Right now that most people are hybrid, you don't go to the same lunch place that you will
Sure.
go if you were working there. So habits have shifted a lot.
Yeah.
Well as what is interesting with mobility data is also seeing how the people that have been moving across the US a lot.
Yeah.
But we're experiencing a massive shift in people behavior. And in fact, to me, will be really interesting to see the next census updates
Sure.
because the big one was in 2020, right before
Right.
everything. So the next one will probably tell a very interesting story.
Interesting. So talk to me, like you went from having access to, you know, lots of applications, right? The mobile applications where you had this SDK to a subset of mobile apps that had the SDK. Talk to me a little bit about that shift and that transition.
Yeah, it was a, it was a very interesting experience. So we not in the market, I remember at the beginning, people were laughing at us with our idea of, providing an SDK to a publisher because publisher had on average 10 SDKs.
Right,
And SDK is a black box inside an app where honestly the app owner doesn't know exactly what happens there.
right,
Some of them handles ads, some of them handles notifications, some of them handles different things. Ours was exclusively built to monetize the app, to tell the
sure.
sure install our SDK, implement the consent framework,
Mm-hmm.
consent from the users when it grants location access. From there, we'll start collecting data. We will pay you for it.
Right,
Basically, our mission was to support publisher in keeping apps and content free because ads were, well, back in the days were rising, but we know today they're in decline. So
right.
publisher, of course, then user needs to understand that when he downloads an app and it's free, it means that
He
somebody is paying for it.
somebody's using yeah, exactly.
So and it's ads or data these days for the most part. And of course, there is always a subscription model. So we launched the SDK at the beginning of 2015. And by 2018, we had hundreds of applications that were operating with us and over 80 different publishers. Publishers are app developers.
Sure.
Then in 2018, we started investing and releasing all our new principle around privacy. And so we demanded publisher not just to follow the Google and Apple rules about how to communicate on the app page, but we really asked publisher to implement a framework where we wanted our name on the app, telling exactly
What
the
you were gonna do. Yep,
location that is collected is shared with Cuebiq for
yep.
targeting, measurement. analytics and research. User can withdraw the consent anytime. With some publisher, they also implemented a toggle on the settings on the app immediately to remove our ability to collect. So
Yep.
we tried to build a proper framework where the consent was freely given with a double opt-in, like with a proper direct communication. These, of course, implied changes on the user experience. So many developers didn't want to
Now
do
want
this.
to do that.
Many developers were scared that now it was too explicit that they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
monetizing. They were scared. So as a consequence of all this process, we started with nearly 200 apps, and we ended up with 50. And then over time, then the number shrunk again. But the largest players that have been always marrying our idea about doing things right have been still there.
Yeah.
And even if today our reach is much smaller than what we got about
Sure.
2019, also because of the changes implemented by Google and Apple
Right.
in providing users the ability to choose about their location data. Um, it's super high quality, it's fully consented, and we're very proud of what we've built.
Yeah, it's amazing because I think a lot of times, um, companies don't necessarily believe that consumers understand what they're consenting to. As a result, I think, it's easy to make it complicated that, okay, just check this. But from your perspective, you've gone above and beyond to make sure that people who have this SDK, their consumers, understand truly what they're opting into. Is that a fair statement?
So we tried to implement the right thing. It's the first
Yeah,
state. Then the reality is, I don't, as a consumer,
not sure.
don't care. And
Yeah,
we,
yeah.
we simply don't care. Like,
No.
if we feel something is creepy, we'd love to complain. And
Yeah.
that's right. But it
Yes.
is when we're downloading something, an utility, a web app, or anything, we have a need in that moment. So probably we click through
Yes.
the intro very quickly. We go very quickly. We don't read. Like,
Right.
when
Right.
was the last time you read the TNC of Apple when you
I
buy a
know. I
$1,000
know.
device? You don't do that.
Yeah.
And yes, you're supposed to do that. You're getting informed. Now, of course, our information is three sentences. It's not 7
Yeah.
pages.
Yeah.
But people don't get it because
Mhm.
we're a super famous company. Probably they can reconcile our name with what's going on, but they
Sure.
don't do it. So like they consented, and I cannot guarantee that I know it, but I can tell
Yeah.
you that it was only us and another company in the entire space that were putting our name and our brand
Yeah. And taking
front with
responsibility and
a paper.
accountability.
Absolutely. And that had played a tough role for us because, of course,
Sure.
every time there was an article, we were called in because we're very
Right.
transparent. We list all our partners. We try to do the right thing.
Right.
That has some, it's business. It's tough because it's business. But, every time we faced that situation where we were called in just because we were the only
Yeah.
company
You
dealing
kind of got the
around,
backlash a little bit.
I've seen all our team really proud of going through that tough moment because we
Mhm.
knew we're doing the right thing. Doing the right thing sometimes is making tough decisions. And
Sure.
uh, not always you get rewarded,
Yeah.
but at least you can look back and be proud of what you've done.
Let me ask you this. Have you seen different levels of awareness and education of consumers who understand this consent by geography?
So in this case, we may have just to simply compare the GDP, the Europe under GDP
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
US. I'm originally European. I'm Italian.
Sure.
I just spent a month visiting our office in Italy, and I have to say that the user experience under the GDPR framework is simply horrible.
Really?
Yes, because at the end of the day, everybody make this huge mess about cookie collection and transaction, etc.
Right.
But every time you enter a website, because you have to quickly book a train ticket or a flight or
Right. You
any
always get it. I was
large,
just in Italy. I got so many. Yeah.
you have all
I
these
totally
pop-ups.
understand.
You have all
Yeah.
these pop-ups, and
Yep.
again, the thing is, the user in that moment, I remember I had a need to buy a train ticket.
Yes.
Look on Google. First thing, and I literally 5 minutes before my train was leaving, and I had to go through all the
Yeah.
approvals of everything. And I know that system. I know advertising.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do just reject all or accept all because I know
Right.
this. And the thing is, it is delaying your ability to really understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So on paper, that's the best framework you can get because
Right.
power to the user, but in reality, are we presenting this consent at the right time?
Mm,
Are we
right.
explaining sometimes to the user that maybe the fact they are giving away some information and the way they're treated is a trade-off to keep getting free content? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
it is important to me. There was a very famous sentence that was released, which is, when you don't pay for a product, you're the product. And
Mm,
I believe this is something that should be taught in school to everyone,
mhm.
every kid. When something is free, it's because you're
It's
the
not free. Yeah.
at the moment you're okay with that, you
Yeah.
mentally ready for that, then we can have a completely different discussion. So
Yeah.
Europe, fully regulated. Um, I don't want even to comment whether after that the ads experience, the ads I was getting were relevant to
Sure.
me or not. That's a different thing. But
Yeah.
so it's regulated, but very bad user experience.
Yeah.
The US, we're starting to see companies that are trying to do the right thing. Like
Mm,
I was like, at least I try to put my name out there,
mhm.
explaining what they do. But the thing is, the average user doesn't necessarily get it.
Yeah.
And uh, of course, it's easy to understand that to fear that data could cause harm. It's very limited in a world where everybody's posting in real time everything on social networks.
Yeah.
They-
Yeah.
They're already communicating to the entire world everything about themselves.
Right.
Very so it's
It's
I
interesting.
I didn't I still see a gap.
Mhm.
Something in between will be good, but I think nobody has really cracked this kind of problem yet. And
Yeah. And I think that there's a whole generation that's grown up with this, click, I get something free, or I don't really care. I'm not sure. I think that as you look at different demographics, for people who did not necessarily grow up as a digital native, there might be a little bit more scrutiny. At the end of the day, they still might click. I talk to younger people and like, we know they're tracking all of us. Who cares? They're gonna get it anyway, some one way or another. And I find that really interesting that it doesn't bother them.
I believe that at some point it could. I mean, I hope that one day we could have this whole a new deal on data, which
Yeah.
let me use data
Yes.
and I'll use it to give you really better,
Value. Yeah.
not clickbait, but like better
Yeah.
content, or I'll give you back something. Like think
Yes.
about a cash
Yes.
on data, but
Yes.
this means that data companies and users needs to be able to make a deal directly. So I
Yes.
not to make a deal with the consumer, but I need to go through Google, Apple, they are
Right.
publishing this,
Right.
this, and that. And at the end of the day, I'm the one collecting the data and managing it and creating value out of it. The user is the one providing it.
Yes.
Between there are 3, 4 companies that are taking slices.
Yeah, yeah, slice of
And
the pie. Yeah,
so
exactly.
so I don't know if we can ever be able to change this entire ecosystem, but who knows? Technology has been shifting very quickly over the past few years.
For
So maybe
sure, for
10
sure.
years from now, that will be the norm.
So I wanna talk about, your data privacy framework. If you could just let's talk through each of the key bullet points. I wanna make sure that, we understand the diligence that you put forth in terms of making sure that consumers are protected, data is anonymized. So let's start with, number one, I think we've already talked about consent and making sure that people are fully aware, or you put as much information out there that if a consumer actually pays attention, they'll see your name, you're not hiding behind another name, and exactly what data is being collected. Is that true as number one part of that?
Yeah, that's that. I will say that the journey of data within our company goes from collection to
Yes.
processing to activation. That is where basically it ends in a different form
Yep.
in our clients. So yes, collection is about where you're collecting data, what kind of control you have in place, and what's your ethics about this collection. So as we said before, back in the days, it was funny, but it was the Wild Wild West,
Yes.
very honest.
Yes.
These days, on top of the tremendous improvements on the privacy side brought by both Google and Apple, and the challenges posed on the industry as well,
Right.
we have implemented our own consent framework. We keep track record of every consent. We give the ability to withdraw the consent. We have an app for
Yep.
users that want to handle their own privacy rights, and that's one piece of it. To my knowledge, is us and another company doing this. There's no
Sure.
one because it's inconvenient, it's more cost, it's not gonna make you more money, and so it's
Right.
counterintuitive sometimes. But
Yeah.
we know that at that point, when we move to the second step, the processing, what you have in there, it's safe.
Yes.
And from that perspective. But the thing is, when you handle location data, you need to be aware that location data, even if it's coming not with the name of the user that is providing
Right.
the information or the email or the phone number, it could still carry some weaknesses in
Mhm.
dealing who the user is. Because here the game is, it needs to be as anonymous as possible.
Right.
Now,
Right.
getting to full anonymity, it's going to be very challenging, as many researchers have shown. But you as a company can implement procedures to at least try to get to the anonymity as a North
Yeah.
Star. So when you handle location data, there are, I would say, four core weaknesses that you need to
Sure.
resolve. The
Okay.
one is the fact that when you collect location data from a mobile phone, most of the time you're collecting by leveraging what is an identifier produced by the operating systems, which is
Mhm.
called mobile advertising ID, which is a universal ID on the phone.
Yep.
That is the the key to deliver ads,
Ads.
create ads on the phone.
Yep.
But the thing is, because of this reason, it is very easy to connect a mobile advertising ID with an email address or
Right.
person of a phone number if you work with the right company,
Mhm.
company that have all the information about you. Think about Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax,
Yes.
all the data about you. If you can match those information with them easily, you can figure out that this code
ID.
here
Yep.
is Francesco, right?
Yep.
What we do there is we remove the mobile advertising ID and we put in there what we call the Cuebiq ID, which is an internal ID that rotates every year, such that if it ends up in the wrong hands, nobody knows what to do with it because you
That's
can't
great.
it
Yeah.
anywhere. And in our system, we do this everywhere. Second thing, which is very important, is location data. If we think about the example of the breadcrumbs,
Right.
the wrong breadcrumb, which is left nearby a sensitive place, think about a
Yes.
place of worship, an abortion clinic that today is a big thing, a government building.
Mhm.
They can suggest sensitive information about the owner that the owner probably doesn't want to disclose,
Right.
or that can cause harm to the owner. So, like, we have implemented with a patent for this in our differential privacy technologies, where whenever we collect an information that we deem to be in proximity to one of these sensitive places, it gets purged from our system, it gets removed, such that we're not disclosing all the breadcrumbs of the user journey, but only those that should not cause any harm to the user. So we would like to keep information about where you go to do grocery shopping or
Right.
where gym you use, but we don't want to disclose your
Any sensitive information.
information.
Sure.
That's a very generic thing. If you visit a dentist or if you visit a general hospital, that's fine. We're not disclosing anything. The third element is the fact that through location data, you could re-identify the owner if you know the exact home address.
Yes.
Because a homeowner in the US, it's a public information.
Sure.
So we have in our patent, we have the ability to obfuscate the exact home location of a user by essentially bringing all the people that live in a block group to the centroid of the block group, so that you will not know exactly what is my physical address. You know that I'm part of this block group in Miami, like all the other 500 people that
Sure.
are block group, and we're all treated equally in the system. So we're not disclosing potential personal information about the user, but we still retain value for our customers because big part of a block group, it brings certain information about income level,
Sure.
ethnicity, race,
Preference. Yep.
and all these sort of things. The last bit is that when you're collecting location data, you also have to be very aware that today's smartphones, Sima, is not what like when we were young. I got my first smartphone. I was probably 15,
Yeah.
16, and I was already in
Yeah.
the new era. Today, kids get smartphones, so you need to be responsible in the way you use it. So we have deployed system internally that tries to understand whether the physical behavior of an ID reconcile with the expected behavior of a kid, like just going to school in the morning and very maybe few spot places in the afternoon. If we see a behavior like this, we just remove all the data about that user from our system, just because there is no commercial value
Sure.
in bringing
Yeah.
kid data to any retailer. So like that's that, and it's ethically
And you're
wrong.
protecting children.
We do our best.
Yeah.
I wish we had more
Of
things to protect
course.
children online,
Yeah.
but yeah. So those are the four weaknesses. So ability to match the data collected from the location source to personal information, sensitive information disclosed by where you go, your
Right.
home location,
Yep.
and behaviors that could be associated
The
with the
pointers.
kids that
Yep.
should be treated. And all of this for us is part of the processing. So every time we receive data with our patented technology, with our differential privacy technology, we can cleanse the asset such that when we start doing real work, when we start exposing,
Yeah.
it has been sanitized a little bit. Of course, we do our best, and today we're the only one with a patent that implemented this technology since 2019.
Incredibly impressive.
And the last bit is activation. So when you think about activation in the data space, you can move essentially, generally speaking, people are always moving two direction. Either I'll give you analytics, so aggregated data that by design are privacy safe. But if I give
Right.
you this, you as a client, you cannot really customize it and make it yours.
Yes.
You have to take something that probably is the same to every other customers requesting it. If you want to know the market shares of QSRs in the Miami area, every QSR can buy that from us and everybody will have the same information. It's not personal, it's not customized. We believe that data, you need to be able to deliver a customized experience for your customers. So either you give them the aggregated analysis or you give them the data behind.
The
But the moment you
access.
expose data behind, you get into a tricky place because even though we sanitize data, even though we have
Right.
consent, you'll never know data could be used. So
Yes.
we came up with a different approach back in the days that today brings the name of Spectus, which is a business unit that offers a platform as a service approach to our,
Okay.
where instead of giving them data so that they can build their own models and customize it, we give access to our own platform with not only our core data, but even all the building blocks that we build around to facilitate the
Sure.
build data applications, but we also provide, computing power and all the basic, best of breed open source tools that data scientists will normally use to build applications, such that essentially instead of giving you the raw ingredients to cook, you come to our kitchen for the ingredients, the tools, the chef, and we help you building something that is truly privacy safe. And before leaving the platform, we also do another check of vetting to make sure that everything is in line. And our customers that really embrace this kind of approach, even given the rise and the success of Data Clean Room, today are seeing the benefits of the ability of customizing and personalizing their analytics, but without really having any harm on the privacy side because everything is handled in one single place with the data that has been sanitized.
Yeah, I love that. So let me ask you this. When you talked about you give them the building blocks to build their use case, give us an idea of what does that look like? Give a client experience in your platform.
So when you want to build a data product leveraging
Yeah.
location, right? The first thing you do is you have to source the location data. Normally you
Yep.
find it in raw format. Let's go back to the concept, those breadcrumbs,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Normally you buy the breadcrumbs. In the,
Sure.
when I say that I'm providing you the building blocks, it means that maybe what you want to do at the end of the day is you want to study where to build the next mall. And
Ah.
what you want to do is you need location data to understand and look at current malls around that area that you're
Yep.
looking at to understand whether the area where you want to build the mall is already served or
Foot
not.
traffic. Yep.
Right? So foot traffic,
Yep.
behavior, how far people are driving to get to that place, how close it is to workplaces, to home location, all these sort of things. Back in the days, you were able to do this by hiring someone that was physically going there and counting people manually or asking.
Right.
Now with data, you can get a glance on this everywhere in the US
Yes.
with a query. So the thing is, instead of giving to our clients just the raw data, so they have to build all the traffic patterns, they have to build the concept of what is a visit to the store, what is the visit of traffic, foot traffic.
You have the
They
tools
can
there.
immediately
Yeah.
buy visits to that place.
Got
So
it.
it's, they can even buy an application built on our platform that is already doing that for them.
Yes.
Once
Okay.
you get an application done, you peel a layer and you can see the code behind on our platform so that if you don't like the code, you can adjust it.
You could change it.
So you can peel a layer and see what are the data assets used. And if you don't like it, you can tweak the data assets so that they
Yeah.
meet requirements. You don't like the data assets, which is what we call the building blocks. You can build the data and you can use the raw data as well.
Got it.
We give you the entire stack and we give you the ability to choose how deep you want to be in your customization
Yeah.
activation. And what happens all the time is that clients come to us requesting the raw ingredients underneath.
Right.
We give them access to the platform where they see the raw ingredients and all the things that I showed you before.
Mm.
And after a little bit, they end up using just the top layer because
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Guys, handling location data is still handling big data.
Yeah.
It's expensive, it's tedious, it requires data engineers, architects, data scientists, product people.
It's a huge investment.
Yeah, so our what we try to do is we try to take care of the boring things about
Sure.
data, which are handling privacy, handling cleansing, handling all the building blocks, so that our customer can just focus on building great products themselves and selling them to market.
Amazing. I love your story. I love how you've evolved and really put privacy in the in the center of every step of your process. And thank you so much, Francesco, for taking the time to join me today.
Thank you so much for spending time with me.
Take care.
Thank you.